Welcome back to Season 2 of Snubs and Dubs, where we're talking about the snubs and dubs of the 87th Academy Award for Best Picture. I'm your host, Kyle Tobiasson, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Jason Miller. Jason, how you doing today?
Woo! Doing good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo. How about you, Kyle? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Did you watch anything in the last week?
I did, but I can't talk about it.
Oh.
Because it's a movie that we're watching later in the season that I just wanted to watch, so I watched it ahead of time, and we'll just watch it again later, too.
Nice. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I was still watching Attack on Titan.
Nice.
I am actually like nearly done, and it's kind of nice because they're still putting out episodes of the final season.
Oh.
And so like the last 2 episodes, I think one comes out this week and the final episode of the entire series comes out next week. And so I'll probably have the last bit of it done by like the end of the weekend. And so I'll be like ready to go.
You'll be right catching up to live time.
Yeah.
That's timing really well.
Yeah.
Because ideally you want to get to the ending when everyone's still talking about that, but also you don't want to like get there too early and have to wait for the last episode. So this is kind of prime time Attack on Titans.
Yeah, and Attack on Titan is kind of dangerous because like if you look up anything Attack on Titan on YouTube, even if it's just like the trailer for the next season because you finished the episode at like 1 a.m. in the morning and you wanted to go to sleep, but you also wanted to see what's going to happen next, all that will show up in your recommended feed is just like spoilers for the like entire season. It's all in the thumbnails. It's all in the titles. It's fucking ridiculous. But that's just like the nature of the show because things just keep happening. And like, it's just reveal central in this anime, but it's been really good.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like where it's going at the present moment.
Like this the story trajectory or like the overall quality?
No, like the quality is obviously like maintained and it's been really good throughout the entire series. It's just like it's one of those series where most of the show is about the search for unanswered questions, and we're getting to the point where they're answering those questions and the answers aren't as interesting as the quest for the answers of the questions.
That's tough.
So
yeah, that's hard to balance because if you let the audience's imagination go wild, they're going to come up with the ending that they want, and they might not like the one that they're getting.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll finish that soon. I'll report back next time if the season finale's out, and I'm
looking forward to it. I'm expecting a 2,000-word essay on your findings from Attack on Titan. It's to be performed live next episode.
Yeah, live in next episode.
I stand by that.
Full spoilers for the entire series of Attack on Titan. So if you haven't, go watch all like 70 20-minute episodes like right now.
It's only like 1,400 minutes.
Yeah, it's dangerous because it is like 20 minutes basically once you get through the what you missed last week or like the recap and then the opening credits or like the opening title sequences, which in anime is just like it's always like 3 or 4 minutes.
It's always crazy shit.
And then the credits and then at the end of the credits there's a preview for the next episode. And so in between those there's like 20 minutes of actual episode.
Yeah.
And so it feels quick because you're like going through these 20-minute chunks, but before you know it, you've been sitting on the couch for 4 hours.
Oh,
and
man.
like you just don't know what you've done with your life, but you do know everything about Titans and Eren Yeager.
The aforementioned attack on them.
Yeah. All right. Well, of course, season 2 of Snubs and Dubs is covering the films from the year 2014. And for episode 4, we're talking about the first Best Picture nominee of the season, American Sniper. Jason, have you seen it before?
Yes, I have. I remember watching this in theaters, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah. How about you?
I remembered that I had seen it. I couldn't tell you anything about it other than Bradley Cooper was a big man in it.
I remember walking out of the theater and going like, man, that was a movie.
Yeah.
That was however many minutes of film. And now it's done.
Yeah, that's certainly it.
Yeah.
Did you watch it just in theaters? Like haven't seen it since?
No, I didn't really ever think about it again until we started watching it for this one. And I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way.
Yeah.
This was just a movie. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I first watched it, I'm like, that was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't think about it again, immediately voided. Like when you walk out of a test in high school and then you just purge the knowledge, and you can't think of it again if you tried to. It was just like, as soon as I walked out the doors, vacated from my mind.
Yeah.
It was just, it was fine. It was a movie.
Yeah. I watched this on Tuesday. We're recording on Friday, and my mind is already like, it's fading away already.
When I was writing out like the plot summary, I kept getting guys mixed up.
Oh my God.
And I'm just realizing now I never went back to fix that.
Nice.
So bear with us. I'm going to try and live fire the correct names into the right spots.
Oh,
it's
boy.
not going to happen 100% though.
Oh, well, that'll be fun. The flying by the seat of your pants type of episode.
Yep.
I mean, like the only two that really matter, I mean, at least according to the billing and the posters and IMDb and Wikipedia, it's only just Chris Kyle and Taya Kyle that are the important characters of this movie.
This movie features Bradley Cooper and America.
All right. Well, if you were interested in American Sniper or the book it's based on, I've included the links to the physical media related to it in the show notes. If you buy through that link, it'll help out our show. Or if you have any other Amazon shopping to do, follow that general link to help out our show in the process. A reminder that this is going to be a spoiler-filled conversation. So if you haven't seen American Sniper yet, or you don't know the real story that it is based off, and you want to watch the movie, go ahead and do so. But without further ado, we're going to get into it. U.S. Navy SEAL Chris Kyle takes his sole mission, protect his comrades, to heart and becomes one of the most lethal snipers in American history. His pinpoint accuracy not only saves countless lives, but also makes him a prime target of insurgents. Despite grave danger and his struggle to be a good husband and father to his family back in the States, Kyle serves 4 tours of duty in Iraq. However, when he finally returns home, he finds that he cannot leave the war behind. American Sniper is directed by Clint Eastwood. It is written by Jason Hall, based on American Sniper by Chris Kyle, Scott McEwen, and Jim DePhillis. It stars Bradley Cooper as Chris Kyle, Sienna Miller as Taya Kyle, and, as we mentioned, fucking America. It has a runtime of 132 minutes, and it released initially on November 11th, 2014 at the American Film Institution Festival before going wide on Christmas Day, 2014. So Jason, what did you think of American Sniper?
Well, to throw it back to the year of 2014 when I watched this in theaters and left thinking, wow, that was a movie. Last night when I finished watching this, I turned the screen off and thought, wow, that was a movie. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Well, I mean, there are some pretty offensive things because it's like, it's American movie about the war in Iraq.
Yeah.
It's going to be very like US military centric and maybe less than reputable in how it portrays the events that happened in Iraq.
Yeah, probably. And like, I think this was also kind of held back in a way because if they wanted to make a sort of critique, this was not the person you could probably do it on because he died while they were about to make this movie.
Oh,
like, did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Because I was looking back through the Wikipedia article on Chris Kyle, just because obviously you should probably read up on the real story. I didn't connect the dots on the years.
Yeah. So basically, Bradley Cooper had one conversation with Chris Kyle before he passed away. And so like they were already making this movie based on the book. But then obviously the tragic event with the other veteran occurred. And so that's tough because even like one of the things that's mentioned in some of the facts I read was that like Taya, the real Taya Kyle, this is how she and her children are going to be remembering their father in a way, like this and the book. And so like if you represent him in like a very bigoted or corrupt or like damning way, they probably won't take to that.
Yeah. Oh man, that is such a complicating factor.
Yeah.
Because it's not like a crazy in-depth critique on like the war on terrorism.
Yeah.
Or even really that much on PTSD and like the damage that soldiers come home with.
Yeah.
And it kind of can't be because especially with the recency of Chris Kyle's passing away, no one's looking to make him look in any bad light.
No, absolutely. And so I think this movie got stuck in that place where is it either a critique and showing how the impacts of war are harmful on a soldier and what they come back to and how they're treated and like what effects the trauma and the PTSD that people come back with have? Or is this like a fuck yeah America type movie where this badass who's just going overseas and killing bad guys? Like, and so I think it kind of got caught in the middle of that. And that's maybe why it ended up being so a movie.
Yeah, that is very accurate. And that sums up a lot of how I feel about that, where it's not anything in particular, but it's a movie.
It definitely is. Yeah. Well, should we break down this movie?
Yeah, let's get this movie rolling. So the movie begins with Chris Kyle, a long-distance shooter from the United States, keeping watch over an American military convoy. Just seconds into the movie, as Chris looks down the sight of his rifle, we are faced with one tough question. Are beards allowed in the military? Because he has a beard in the military, and I don't think beards are allowed in the military. Could have sworn you had to be clean shaven. So I took a quick Google search, and I can put this one to bed with right now. No, you cannot have a beard in the military.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So he was like breaking the rules.
Yeah, I guess there's like specific people who could, from occasion, be allowed to have a beard, but just generally, no. And I think the beards are used in the movie to be like, hey, remember this character? We're going to give this character a name. He also has facial hair, so you remember him quickly.
Yeah. And I mean, like, this was before they were calling him like the legend. So like, he didn't even have the status where he could just be like, fuck you. Like, I have a beard and you're going to like it.
I mean, you could tell it was Bradley Cooper because the man was like 4-tire double lifted wide. This dude was a Ford F3500.
Yeah,
he was huge.
He was a thick boy for this movie.
Thick. Hummers couldn't take him. Well, what the hell, Clint Eastwood? We're like 1 minute into this and you're already pulling this garbage with the beard lies and the shoddy representation of the truth.
Just immediately taken out of the movie.
Yeah.
Just like, well, this is unrealistic.
Just shattered right away. Anyways, our illegally bearded protagonist reports sights of someone daring to be the holy trinity of evil. Male, military age, which would be like anyone over the age of 15 or 16. Like, what does that mean? And talking on a cell phone. Kyle is clear to murder the man and bereave a family of a father figure, but doesn't take the shot before the man finishes his phone call and goes back inside, probably to an adoring family dependent on him. Just then, a woman and small child walk onto the street in front of American convoy, and the woman hands the small child a live grenade and tells him to run at the convoy. As Chris pulls the trigger on the child, we cut back to the sniper as a kid, skillfully hunting with his dad, who he affectionately refers to as Sir at all times. We then get a speech from his dad back at dinner about the 3 types of people in the world. Sheep, wolves, and sheepdogs, which of the 3, Chris finds himself among the sheepdog for protecting his brother, then inferred to be a sheep, needing help from a bully, one of the wolves, one of the evil, powerful people who punches and shoves people around. The sheepdog then gets sheepdogged years later when he drives home with his brother to find his girlfriend cuckolding him. After kicking her and the man out of the house, Chris and his brother watch a news report that appears to introduce Chris to the concepts of the U.S. military, terrorism, and foreign countries with such a weight you might think they're all new to him. This was a weird tone shift, and you never cut back to it, even when larger tragedies happen later. This is, I think, one of 2 times he feels uniquely sad in the movie, and he gives us way too much juice. It's a news report on something bad happening, but you'd think to him, this is the first time he realized that people can die.
They can kill Americans?
Wait a minute, we're not invincible? This embassy bombing that Chris watches on the news moves him to enlist in the U.S. Army as a Navy SEAL. He then goes through basic training and uses his skills to hit on a woman at a bar named Taya, who has promised to never marry a SEAL. After meeting Taya, Chris's shooting is nothing to snuff at in the military, but in bed he's not missing a single body shot. Taya and Chris sleep together for the first time in a memorable night of passion they will forever remember as the night of 9/10. As the next morning, Taya calls Chris to the TV watching a report of the terror attack on the Twin Towers.
Yikes.
Taya and Chris then get married, shattering Taya's promise to never marry a SEAL. Their first dance would be interrupted by a call for Chris's division to head to Iraq in the War on Terror. Cut to Fallujah, Iraq, as American recruits are getting briefed on the city and told that the city of 250,000 people has somehow been entirely evacuated, so don't worry, everyone who is here is definitely here to kill you, and not just a person living their life, so all murder is already justified going forward. Don't think about it too hard.
Yeah.
That was a wild intro.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think part of like where this movie can't afford to be a critique of the U.S. military industrial complex is right away, if there is a man here, he's a bad guy. Like, they do portray some citizens, but they're all like characters that are active, and like them being a citizen left behind is their story. They don't show that like this is a city where people live and not everyone's going to evacuate. So there's probably going to be a lot of moral gray area on what everyone here is doing.
Yeah.
But instead it's, nah, you can do whatever you want. And if you find someone, they're trying to kill you. So shoot them first.
Yeah. It's kind of like, have you ever seen that Black Mirror episode? Or have you ever watched Black Mirror?
Yeah, I think I've seen most of it.
There's like one episode where they put like a chip in the heads of military people to make them see like a group of people as like
some other race
monsters,
or whatever.
Yeah, some sort of like supernatural creature.
Mm-hmm.
And like you could kind of in a loose sense put that on that. Even that just statement. Like everybody who's here chose not to evacuate, and therefore you should assume that they are like part of the terror organization.
Yeah. As if like a foreign country coming into your city and telling you to leave and you staying would clear you to be murdered.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, some of that justification's not great.
No.
We circle back to the events at the start of the movie and see Kyle pull the trigger, murdering the child running towards the convoy with the grenade. And the woman who was with him then tries to pick up the live munition and throw it at the Americans after. Chris will later lament about how killing women and children in a foreign country isn't how he envisioned his first murders would go.
It's awful, but you say it like that and like,
that's exactly what was said.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I think, could be a fair critique of how people had an idea of what coming to Iraq to fight terrorism could and would look like and how it's not the reality. But it doesn't really turn into that.
Yeah, and I like read mixed things about this. On one hand, I read like that he didn't kill like a child, like he never shot a child. But then on the other hand, it's like I've read that he did. So I don't know. It's probably in the book.
Yeah. So much of Kyle's record is either muddy from the logistics of keeping accurate count of everything that happened, or just if he did have to shoot a kid, would you blame him for not bringing that up and only having like maybe secondhand reports of that can't be fully verified?
Yeah.
Like it's really hard to verify everything that happened, especially because Chris himself later in life isn't reliable in reporting his story because he claims things that are verifiably untrue about other events afterwards that don't have a major impact on like stories from Iraq, but make it hard to fully take him at face value what he's saying, even though I'm more than willing to extend the benefit of the doubt that he's making accurate enough claims.
Yeah.
It's just that you can't exactly take his word because the record's so difficult to maintain.
Yeah, for sure. And then obviously then there's the filter of making this like a narrative story.
Yeah.
And making this an actual movie with like a character arc. So like how much of this did they have to like fabricate in a sense or like just to build the intensity or the drama of his life. So yeah.
Well, Chris would continue racking up kills around the city as a seemingly rival sniper gets a kill on an American soldier back. Chris gets 6 confirmed kills that first night and 2 unconfirmed ones. And while he has to justify one of the kills to the officers, he is lauded as a hero by the fellow soldiers. Back home, Chris has added 1 life to the global tally before moving away. And Taya is pregnant with a baby, and Chris believes to be and desperately wants to be a boy. On the phone, Taya tells Chris that his brother has been deployed to and is also heading to Iraq. This is where I get some names mixed up. This is the start of that. Later in a military briefing, we learn that there is a high-ranking terrorist general or something like that named Zarqawi. And sure, he was even personally trained and paid for by bin Laden, which, since bin Laden and the Mujahideen soldiers were possibly, downright even allegedly, receiving weapons and money from the U.S. to fight Soviet occupation in Afghanistan, Zarqawi was potentially getting paid by the U.S. Army.
Oh, that's joyful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something. Chris gets bored of the sniping game while he hears more about soldiers dying in combat, and he abandons his post one day where he would provide cover for soldiers going door to door to do some of that sweet door kicking himself. Immediately, he brutalizes an English-speaking Iraqi man in the first building he enters, in view of the man's entire family, and demands information on Zarqawi. The man gives him a possible name of Zarqawi's number 2 man, the Butcher, and asks for $100,000 for this information. After Chris finishes yelling at the man to look at him when he's speaking, while the man is notably looking and speaking at an interpreter, Chris rolls out and gives the message to his intel center. Later, a convoy would roll out with a reward for this information, but they get intercepted by a sniper, possibly having been the Olympic shooter for Syria at some point.
Yeah.
This is brought in an interesting way in that they don't really talk about why this matters. Like, are they trying to say that there are people out there who think terrorism's an Olympic sport and he's going there to get the gold medal? Because I don't know if that's an accurate depiction of the people fighting against American soldiers.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like, this probably had some historical accuracy.
Possibly,
where, like, they may have, like, I don't know, got this person who was an Olympian to do
It's too specific to not be tied to something.
Yeah.
You can't ad hoc this entire storyline into there.
No.
So I'm curious to know what the actual story behind that was.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, the aforementioned butcher is seen holding down the son of the informant with his signature drill. Some soldiers are killed by sniper fire while Chris is on the phone with Taya and learning that his future child is in fact a boy. With the ensuing chaos, Chris drops the live phone while getting pinned down by the same sniper fire, much to Taya's general disliking. Chris makes his way to the roof, where a dog is chained up, giving away his location, and the rival sniper is able to get a shot in on Chris's helmet, while the butcher kills the young boy, and the informant is gunned down. This is a sad scene, but that helmet does not stop a sniper bullet.
Yeah,
no, he's dead. That if you get hit in the head with a sniper rifle, it does not stop that.
Yeah, those helmets are good for a little bit maybe, but not like a sniper bullet.
Oh yeah, I would want one of those in a war zone.
Yeah.
But I would not be saved by one in a war zone. Maybe by like shrapnel could get stopped by that, but a sniper rifle, no.
No, thank you.
It's not going to happen. The assailants all get away, and Chris's squad is shut down pending an inquiry into this entire debacle. Chris will then head home to a very pregnant Taya, and things look peaceful and promising for the soon-to-be parents. Not. Chris is doing really awful and showing obvious signs of PTSD with an outrageous heartbeat and general unwillingness to ever leave the house. This boils over driving back from a doctor's appointment when the pressure of arguing results in a beautiful baby boy entering the world. Chris pulls a classic new father moves and signs up for another tour of duty in Iraq, angry that Zarqawi is still up there killing soldiers.
Yikes, yeah.
He dips pretty quick, but this is like the first time that they introduced how he's not doing well with PTSD and isn't adjusting back to American life.
Yeah.
And there's scenes of him just like, that's all I can really think about. Despite having a new son, he has to go kill people who are killing American soldiers. And that's the only focus.
Yeah, and like mixed with this PTSD, it seems that he has this complex where he wants to save so many people.
Yeah.
And he feels like he can do that just by being there. And so while he's not there, like people are dying and he blames himself kind of.
Yeah, which is, I guess, an unfortunate mental situation he's finding himself in, where he's just kind of putting that on himself when that really makes no sense. But whatever, what can you do? Recently arriving in Iraq to leave a squad designed to find Zarqawi, Chris runs into his brother, who is happy to see him, but even happier to get the fuck back home, and doesn't share that same second tour enthusiasm that's flowing through Chris.
Yeah.
Chris's mission is partially successful as the butcher gets knocked out in one late-night raid that sees Chris's unit come into direct fire with a large group of insurgents. They, of course, suffer no losses, but have to kill a civilian who had been a host to them, but also an owner of a large stash of weapons, who had led them into a restaurant housing the butcher before getting shot dozens of times when he picked up a rifle in a war zone when gunfire had just broken out everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Iraqi citizens parade the man's body towards the Americans in protest, and the Americans are forced to leave all the way back to America, in fact, as Chris' second tour wrapped up. So they get the number 2 man, but haven't found Zarqawi yet.
Yeah.
Or the sniper, Mustafa, whose name I accidentally had not placed in earlier and said Zarqawi and had to quickly slip that around. Yeah. Back home in America, a fellow soldier of Chris notices that he isn't quite right and invites him down to the VA, or Veterans Affairs, which doesn't seem to interest Chris too much. Once Chris's truck is finished getting serviced, he tells his son that it's time to go meet his sister. He's just casually getting a tire rotation while his daughter is waiting for him in the infirmary. And that is a great indicator of how things are going back at home. As Taya tells Chris that she's making memories by herself.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yikes.
And that Chris isn't really here when he's here, and that she needs him pretty bad.
In that car dealership, that actor, he's like been bigger since, but I always know him as the voice of Kristoff from Frozen.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So every time he shows up with something, I'm like, oh, it's Kristoff.
I've actually never watched Frozen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll go to 2013 one day and we'll get through it.
Take a quick tour over. Chris then leaves for big tour number 3. While talking to his squad mate about his soon-to-be engagement, the only ringing going on is gunfire as his squad mate gets shot by Zarqawi and they need to immediately extract. Intel lets them know that there's a stronghold 7 doors down from where Biggles was shot, and a soldier, Mark, who is almost a preacher, declares, "Eye for an eye," and then they all roll back out. And as the saying goes, the world would go blind for Mark as he is shot when searching the building where they find nothing.
Yeah.
This is, I think, the first time that they've shown people that Chris knows deeply dying.
Yeah.
And it clearly has an effect. Although Biggles doesn't die at this point. He just gets shot in the face, but makes it out okay.
Yeah. And like, how? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Shot in the face.
In the face. Yeah.
I don't know, but I guess if that's how it happened, then that's happened.
This is also one of the times where I think at this point they tried to actually make this end up being a critique on the American military because there's a distinct change in Tour 3 from Tour 2 from Tour 1.
Yeah.
Where on number 3, first of all, people get shot.
Yeah.
But also they start using the Punisher logo everywhere.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty big indicator that like, oh, maybe these guys aren't the good guys anymore.
Yeah.
And they refer to Iraqi citizens as savages. Yeah. And only as that. This must be also the time where they realize they can't go too deep that direction because this is as bad as that commentary will ever go.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yep. This would bring Chris back home once more for the funeral, and he visits Biggles afterwards, who's going to be all right. What's not going to be all right is Chris's marriage real soon when he tells Taya that he's going back. She takes this in the exact way you'd expect her to, and she opens up saying how much she needs Chris, and when he isn't shaken, she tells him they might not be here when he gets back this time. Heeding that, he comes to tour number 4. We start off rough as Chris learns that Biggles died during his face surgery, and that none of his Punishers are really left at this point. Chris's team is tasked with eliminating the sniper who has been killing construction workers building a wall intended to trap enemy fighters and shooting them from a kilometer away. Chris knows that it must be Mustafa, the Syrian Olympian sniper. Mm-hmm. The crew sets up in the heart of enemy territory, and when Mustafa picks off another soldier, it's game time. Chris sees him coming from a mile away, literally, and blasts him right in the head. From there, they have 20 minutes until extraction, and a whole lot of people now shooting at them. Chris calls Taya as an ordnance drop is ordered for their position as they start running out of ammo, and he tells her that he's ready to come home, fully expecting to never have to do that. Some lousy helicopter fire later, and the soldiers are still alive while a sandstorm rolls in, giving them the cover they need for an extraction from the quick response extraction team that has finally shown up. Mm-hmm. Back at home, Chris isn't quite at home. In fact, he's in a bar avoiding returning to his house until Taya calls him to see what is going on after hearing he got out early. When he is at his house, he's still hardly there and is completely zoned out and still in combat mode. When a dog plays with his son a little aggressively, Chris slips into action and has to be stopped before taking things too far. Chris gets a meeting with a psychiatrist who then convinces him to help counsel other veterans and save the ones who came home instead of focusing on the ones he couldn't save there. This seems to help Chris begin living a normal life as he settles into being a husband and a father, there to raise his kids and support his wife, especially support her with his rootin' tootin' roleplay fetish.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Chris was killed that day by a veteran he was trying to help, as the on-screen card reads, and we end on the military procession for his funeral. The end.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not the way I think they thought they were going to end this movie.
Nope. And you can tell that they do a very quick 180 on really leaning into his PTSD. He is immediately cured by talking to other veterans and helping them. He has no lingering effects, and they weirdly demonize the guy who, although he did end up killing him, suffered from like severe PTSD and
psychiatric problems.
Yeah, schizophrenia. Yeah, he had like a severe schizophrenia and PTSD. And I got interested in when Chris Kyle died. Mm-hmm. And the man who killed him was like deeply disturbed because Chris was actually murdered with another soldier who was also kind of doing like counseling with Chris. Mm. And the guy who killed those two, when police asked him what happened, he said, well, we were driving to the gun range and they weren't talking to me, so I had to shoot them. I think they'd forgive me. So like, it's a little harsh to paint him as like a bad guy because they do like that lingering shot where Taya looks at him disapprovingly.
Yeah,
he's got like all that shadow under his eye because he's wearing a ball cap. But no, this was just a deeply disturbed man who was not getting the support that he needed, and that was a weird way to treat the whole ending. But again, that was probably written in very late into the movie, so they I guess had to finish a narrative something.
Yeah, I even this is one of my facts, but it's relevant. So on February 2nd, 2013, Chris Kyle was killed. The script originally included a reenactment of Chris Kyle and his friend Chad Littlefield being gunned down on that fateful day. This was to appear at the end of this movie just before the funeral, but it was vetoed by widow Taya Kyle as it was far too harrowing for her and too gruesome to have it shown to her children.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
I'm not going to knock that as a statement.
No.
I also don't think that looking at this as a movie I don't think of like showing him dying's the way this should go.
No.
I think considering the scenario, this was about as well as you could wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to really dock him on the ending for this one. It was not in the cards originally.
Yeah. I think maybe if they hadn't already started filming it, they might have gone harder into the direction of the impact that PTSD has on people like Chris. And maybe you could have that narrative where Chris came back, like he kept going back for tour after tour, but every time he came back, worse and worse off until like eventually he, finally got help. And then he went to help other veterans with their PTSD. And so maybe you just lean more into the like redeemed sort of, or like the getting better sort of angle of it. And then then you could maybe show him, like, obviously don't reenact his death like that soon after, but like just like show how like his journey went from being so brought down by this illness to being elevated back up to like the way he was before he went to these tours, and like now he's helping people who also have this issue.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe that because of the timing of his death, like this movie did suffer in some ways.
Yeah, or even just because I think PTSD is not always or even necessarily something that gets cured, but just showing him living a better life with the tools to manage his everyday life would have been better. Because I think what I don't like about the depiction, and I understand why it probably happened, but he helps a couple people and is 100% cured, which is, I think, not a realistic way to depict that, or even a narratively good way to depict that. Because that's the main struggle that he has throughout the movie, other than his fight against Mustafa and
his literal battle with guns against terrorism. But and then it's saved because the doctor says, "Well, try helping people." Yeah.
And it's like, oh, thanks, Doc. Cured.
It worked.
Hey, we did it.
Yeah. This movie really suffered.
Yeah.
We've kind of mentioned this a couple times already, but I think it did suffer from the timing of this event, because if you go into the PTSD, it kind of makes it an anti-war movie in a way.
Yeah.
Because if you're highlighting the effects that war has on people, then in a way you're saying that war is bad. And like you're putting a spotlight on the fact that people don't come back the same, like as they went in. And this movie tried to do both.
Yeah.
It tried to be like fuck yeah, American hero sort of thing, and also show the negative effects of war. And I think that because it landed in that sort of middle gray area, it didn't land on either regard.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And it kind of makes you wonder how this movie got a Best Picture nomination, because I would not be putting it on that train personally.
Yeah.
Last week we did Interstellar, and I would happily swap these two.
Yeah, and well, critics and audiences actually had kind of a worse response to that movie too. In fact, Rotten Tomatoes, critics only gave it a 72%.
Yeah.
Which actually, I guess is not that much lower than Interstellar. I think Interstellar was like 73. But audiences was like an 84%. So like well received, but also like not what you think when you think of Best Picture nominee well received.
Yeah. And like in a deep year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I remember when I heard that this got a nomination, I was kind of surprised by how like it was.
Yeah.
But I think there's probably the patriotism angle as well. And
I think that's it. Yeah.
I think the Academy was looking to give this an award, especially with the recency of Chris Kyle's passing. I think that played to this movie's favor in terms of getting that nomination. I think it also played to Bradley Cooper's favor in getting a nomination for Best Actor, because I was not necessarily blown away by his performance. It wasn't bad. He was fine. I thought Taylor's performance was actually really strong.
Yeah, Sienna Miller did a good job.
I thought she was really good. Bradley Cooper was fine. I just wasn't blown away by the character. The times that he had to be like really vulnerable and upset, I didn't really buy it. Like when he was watching that news report and it's looking like he just watched his whole family murdered in front of him. It's like, that's not a realistic reaction. And kind of brought me out of the moment because it was so hammed.
Yeah, true. And like, I think that's the struggle you face when you're playing a real person, because I think that there was probably some like recordings and like obviously Bradley Cooper had one conversation with Chris before, and he got close with the family of Chris Kyle. From what I gather, like they managed to kind of craft who he was into Bradley Cooper. And so Bradley might be doing his best to impersonate Chris Kyle more faithfully, but then it's like playing a part in giving not the best performance because you're being so like stoic and reserved in a way.
Which I think, I mean, in movies in general, the stoic hero is just a boring character.
Yeah.
And normally you need something around that to make it worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, it's just so much stoicism that it's not really captivating.
I was more impressed with Bradley Cooper's transformation into like the size of Chris
Optimus Prime himself.
yeah, than his like performance in total. But yeah, like he obviously has some good emotional bits. That one bit in the bar, they show it in the trailer too, where he comes home and he's on the phone with Taya, and he's just like, I just needed a minute. Like that was good to see. And like, but that's obviously a break in this guy's typical persona of just like kind of unfeeling American hero. And so I guess that was good to see in sort of the contrast, but
yeah. Now, I don't think it was a bad performance. I just don't know if it was best performance.
Yeah. I do think that this movie was probably riding the boattail. What is it? Coattails of
is that Draken Tales?
Of the recency of the real Chris Kyle's death, which is like, in retrospect, it's hard to like sit here and say like, why would they be showing this movie as like a best picture movie when it's not like that much of a best picture, like it's not that worthy of a best picture nominee just because this guy died in the same year. But like, yeah, that's probably exactly what was going on.
Yeah.
And Clint Eastwood has some clout, obviously.
And the man is Paul.
Yeah. And so people might just like, I mean, the Academy are at this point are still probably like old white men. They're probably like, oh yeah, Clint Eastwood. Psh,
let's do it.
That's a bro. That's a friend of mine. So.
And I don't think it's like the snub of the century that this made it in and other movies didn't. Like it's not the end of the world. It was one of the 7 nominees and it was a fine movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not going to knock the selection any further, but probably not making my short list for best picture nominees later.
Well, to round up the reviews, it's got a 7.3 on IMDb and a 72 on Metacritic. So pretty much that low 70s is kind of the average across the board. It, however, did really well at the box office, pulling in $547 million worldwide on a budget of $59 million.
Ooh, dang.
Yeah,
that's actually kind of impressive that they shot all that on that budget. Like that's still a pretty big budget, but this was like probably a pretty difficult to shoot movie with all the like scenes and terrain and destruction going on.
Yeah. It is actually the highest grossing Best Picture nominee this season.
Oh,
or actually, in total, at the 87th Academy Awards. It is the highest by 24 spots.
Oh, wow.
The second highest is The Imitation Game at number 37.
Impressive.
So, yeah, that also might have been one of the reasons that this got in because this was so popular as well. It is actually the highest grossing war movie of all time worldwide.
Dang.
As well as the highest grossing war movie in the States if you don't adjust for inflation. If you don't adjust, it is beating out Saving Private Ryan from 1998. Steven Spielberg, producer and director of Saving Private Ryan, was actually previously attached to direct American Sniper. So when I read this fact on IMDb, this said as of 2015. I did check, and it is still the highest grossing war movie if you do not account for inflation. If you do adjust for inflation, however, it is the 4th highest. 3rd is Pearl Harbor. 2nd is Saving Private Ryan. And 1st is Gone with the Wind from 1939.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
That one's got some staying power. But are you telling me that this movie beat all of Steven Seagal's straight-to-DVD American Sniper movies? Unbelievable.
It's actually also the first Clint Eastwood movie to gross over $300 million in the U.S.
Oh, well.
So
that's impressive.
Yeah. Do you want to get into our rankings, though?
Let's do our rankings. God, we're going to start with you because I got the sheet open now.
Yep.
What is your score for your enjoyment of the movie?
I don't think our scores are going to surprise anybody at this point. I think I was pretty middle of the road on enjoyment of this. I was kind of dancing between 3 and 2.5, and I might even go to 2.5.
Oh, yeah. I have 2.5 as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think in this movie, there is a shell of like a good movie.
Yeah.
I don't think you can take this to be a great movie just with the subject matter and everything that's at play. And how much you have to balance to get this movie made, because you need the military support to make this movie.
Yeah.
And you can't be overly critical of it because of that. But also it's a remarkable story and all that. Like it's fine. This is probably the best they could do, but I don't think you can really make an amazing flick out of this.
No.
What's your craft?
It is definitely well made. It's beautifully shot. It is quite gray at times, but obviously that kind of happens with the places that they're in.
Yeah, I think that's fine considering.
Yeah, but it is really well directed, I think, too. And I didn't notice really any score. Obviously, the costumes are probably what they actually wore, and so you just kind of have to replicate that. So, I think I might go 3.5 because it is definitely a well crafted movie.
I mean, like, I really don't have any problems with the cinematography. Like, everything you said was just, especially for what this movie was, it worked just fine.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of thing where you just don't want anything to get in the way of the story that's being told, because it's pretty, you can flub this up, but it's hard to make like a super impressive theatrical biographical story.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna slap down a 3.5 on this. Nothing gets in the way, and that's good enough.
Yeah. I think it did its best to like really seem realistic.
Yeah.
And if you go into some like really overglorified shots, like there's one moment of bullet time, but it's when he's doing his 2100 meter shot to get Mustafa.
You have to bullet time that one. What are your other choices? No, like just bullet time. That's fine.
Yeah.
Execution.
I mean, like the two leads are pretty good. Like we've kind of mentioned that Bradley Cooper was all right. Obviously, he's doing his best to imitate a person that was real and had probably some footage of himself at some point talking about things. And so I think I go 3 here just because like the acting is fine, but the writing, it kind of gets in its own way sometimes.
Yeah.
I wish they had taken a stance, but I understand why they didn't really. Yeah.
I'm going to go a bit lower. I'm going to give this one a 2. Like there's so many outside factors that occurred, but if you're walking into this territory and are making this film about Chris Kyle, obviously him dying is not in your control, but you're going to have a lot of these problems if he's still alive today, where you can't be too critical of him. You don't want to overglorify him and all of that. And I don't think that they really crafted anything around that to make it work. If Chris Kyle was still alive after this whole movie had wrapped up, I can't see it even really being that much more amazing of a flick with what it has. So I'm going to give it a 2. That one, I'm fine with being a little harsher on that because I don't know. That's just how I feel.
Yeah.
And you know what? My opinion's always correct. So,
well, I'm actually wondering what they would have done if like that didn't happen. Because like he was obviously an advocate and was trying to get the message out that like PTSD is a real thing. And he was obviously trying to help veterans with this issue. And so I think that he might have encouraged that sort of conversation.
Yeah. I bet you they can go darker with it if he's still alive. I bet you they could. There is the potential to give this an actually good arc around the PTSD and not like wrap it up so quickly and cleanly.
Yeah.
But I would be somewhat interested to see what that movie could have been, but it'll never happen. So
no, it won't. At least not until. No, I don't think it'll happen.
I don't think it'll happen. This made too much money for them to try it again.
Yeah.
And lastly, what is your rewatchability?
I don't think I could see myself rewatching this.
No.
I really don't. I think this is like a 1.5 because I saw it in theaters and it never occurred to me to rewatch this movie.
No.
Obviously, this season has forced me to do so. And like, you know, any season is going to force you to watch a movie that you probably never thought you were going to rewatch. But this is probably the last time I'll see this movie.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I'm going to give this one a 1 for rewatchability.
Yeah.
I will not watch this again.
No.
I can't imagine a scenario where like I would want to or someone else recommend it and I wouldn't say no thank you.
Yeah.
Well, score time. That is going to bring you to a 10.5 out of 20 for a 53%. And I will be giving it a 9 out of 20 for a 45%.
Oof.
Yeah.
I think the rewatchability really kills that score.
Really murders it. Yeah. If you just give it, if this even pops up to an average rewatchability, that's going to give it another like 15-ish% or something. So that's going to be a lot of pain going on. Well, ranking time.
Yeah.
This, but you probably remember it, but I'm going to read it off here right now. In first place for both of us, we have the same list Interstellar, Nightcrawler, Big Hero 6.
I think we're going to still have the same list. I'm putting this at 4th place.
Yep, that makes sense. I am also going to put this a long shot from first in last. It's going to be 4th for both of us.
Yeah. What a strange start.
Yeah.
I thought, like, obviously we had 2 really strong movies so far in Nightcrawler and Interstellar. But I'm really surprised with how we both felt about Big Hero 6. And I guess, like, I'm medium surprised about how I feel about American Sniper. Because, like, I didn't really expect this to blow me away. Because obviously I hadn't thought about it since I saw it in theaters. But, you know, since we are getting into the nominees quicker this season because there are more than 5, I think there's other nominees that are going to be, like, middle of the road.
Yeah. And I mean, it's still early, so we're probably going to agree on most of what's going on because I think other than Interstellar and Nightcrawler, all 4 of these movies have a lot of separation between them. Like they're all cleanly sleeping, like putting into their spots. When I sat down to watch American Sniper, I kind of thought it would be near Big Hero 6. Yeah. Maybe if I really had just not remembered it correctly, it could be above, but I kind of expected from memory that this would be 4th and probably hanging around the middle of the road by the end of the season.
Probably. And like with how strong the rest of this season is, I don't even think it's going to be middle of the road. I think it's going to be bottom.
It probably will be.
Well, Letterboxd time.
All right.
So this was another Letterboxd essay movie.
Not surprised.
It has a score of 3.2 out of 5, and it had pretty polarizing views. So it was either like on one side, 5 stars, or a half star sort of thing. And I actually have 2 examples. These ones aren't necessarily fun, but I just wanted, it was so common that I had to give a sense of like what this was like. So it was either 5 stars, which this one's by Logan Kenny. Likely the greatest exploration of America as a nation made in this decade. It doesn't attempt to convince you that war is bad or that Kyle was bigoted. It shows you. This is not a place for political monologues or distant stances. This is a hazy fucking nightmare where the American hero is a ruthless psychopath who will shoot kids and innocent civilians without hesitation. A man raised in a climate where you worship the flag and were designed to embody the traits of toxic masculinity to an abusive, violent, stoic man is the only way. Is the only way, this person had bad grammar. It's the only way a man whose childhood was filled with screaming, emotional terrorizing, and constant reinforcement of bigotry and the Star-Spangled Banner. He is America, and he'd kill any semblance of humanity he had left in him for his country. That's the man they designed him to be, a broken war machine. It's such an angry movie, a tragedy almost, not for the man that was, but the man that could have been. As he walks out that door destined to die, he feels nothing. There was no longer any difference between life and death. Maybe there never was. Clint Eastwood is a god.
This man watched the entire movie looking at himself in the mirror. He did. First of all, most of what he said there was not really correct. Like, no hesitation killing kids. There is distinctly a lot of hesitation where he doesn't want to do it.
And there's another scene later on where a kid like goes to pick up a grenade launcher or like a rocket launcher, and like he has like an emotional response when that kid puts it down. He's like, holy fuck. Like he almost like threw up, I think. So yeah.
Ooh, but that guy, I'm glad that he got to massage his giant extraterrestrial sized brain while writing that essay.
And I think this guy has watched this movie like 8 or 9 times because I kept scrolling and he kept popping up. No. This was just his most liked review. And so I just took that one.
Oh, this guy. I don't like you.
Right. So it's either that side or it's this. Half a star by Peaceful Stoner.
Fucking hate me.
American Diaper.
Okay. We started off fire.
I got a paragraph still. The deadliest, most lethal diaper in American film history, with over 160 confirmed recorded moments of glorifying a man whose only passion in life was murdering people or blatantly and maliciously lying, and in turn immortalizing a man who considered and referred to a particular section of humans as subhuman, of praising the misguided courage of a man who unreasonably deemed his country as the greatest and his people as belonging to a, quote, higher kind, of laboriously portraying that man's vulnerability caused by post-war trauma to propagate his humanistic side, when in actuality, he never seemed to have been affected by PTSD at all, a claim that is substantiated and signified by his only qualm, "I only wished I had killed more." This was actually just the first paragraph of the essay that is the most liked review on Letterboxd for American Sniper.
I did not expect, when you start off as strongly as American Diaper, I was with you. And then immediately I stopped being with you.
Yeah, right?
That was not the tone I expected American Diaper to go. Because you're starting off strong. That's funny. That's comedy. If you'd been like, oh, this is the most deadly American Diaper with 160 confirmed doo-doos, I'd be like, oh yeah, lay it on us. Where are you going with this? Yeah. But that took a turn.
No, it did. Yeah. And like, that's, I think what drew my eye to it too. And I think that's why it's the most liked on Letterboxd, because that is the first line is American Diaper. But then it's literally like a fucking essay. Like, this man put 5,000 words into that piece. Like, just for, I mean, he got the most likes review of American Sniper on Letterboxd. So I guess, you got some clout, but like, what else are you doing with your day, man?
This is like, sometimes you're just making conversation with someone in like Starbucks line or something. And you make some comment, like you make like, oh, how do you do? And he's like, oh, pretty good. Have you heard about the lizard people government? And you're like, oh, I didn't think this was your vibe. Oh, God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I do have one fun one to kind of round that out.
Good.
It's a 1 star by Rachel. American Sniper contains the best performances I've ever seen by a rubber baby. Rubber Baby is so good. It plays a boy, it plays a girl, and it plays an Iraqi infant over the course of the film while maintaining its inanimate appearance. Truly astonishing to watch. Did you notice the plastic baby?
I distinctly remember it in one scene. I'm like, yeah, it's a weird baby.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was used multiple times throughout the movie.
Yeah. I guess I think I heard this once where like the baby that they were supposed to have just became unavailable.
Oh.
Just, I don't know what happened, baby things.
Did the baby have a scheduling conflict?
I don't know.
Did it have a meeting?
It had an American Diaper to shoot or something.
Oh, but what I think it was when Taya gives birth, I'm like, it's a weird looking baby.
Yeah.
But I don't think anything of it.
There's one really bad scene where you see it, and it's when they're holding the daughter. Mm-hmm. And this is when I texted you CGI baby hands.
Oh, yeah.
Because
that was the scene where I'm like, that's a weird baby.
Yeah, because they had to CGI the movement of this fake baby's hand to make it look like it was real. Because otherwise, when they're moving it around, it's straight plastic.
You need a doctor to check on that baby. It's not doing good.
Well, so obviously this was nominated for Best Picture, but what else do you think it was nominated for at the Academy Awards?
I know it was also Bradley Cooper got nominated for Best Actor.
Yep.
I don't know for a fact past that, but I'm kind of guessing and kind of hoping that Sienna Miller got a Best Supporting Actress, but I'm not going to sell the house on that one. I don't think it got anything else, but I don't know.
It was nominated for 6 awards. Ooh. Sienna Miller was not one of those nominated.
I was misfiring there.
It was nominated, of course, for Best Picture and Best Actor. It was also nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you're going to be a Best Picture nominee, that's going to come with it. If you're based on something, that's fine.
Also, with being a Best Picture nominee, it was nominated for Best Editing. That is usually a signifier of something that's strong for Best Picture. Best Sound Mixing and Best Sound Editing, it won Best Sound Editing. But that was its only win.
Oh, yeah, interesting. I wasn't like blown away by the sound, but whatever. I don't have a problem with that. It was probably good. It was probably better if you would like
actually had surround or was in a theater. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Other notable awards, it won the American Film Institute Award for Movie of the Year. Wonder why.
Not surprised.
Won Most American Movie of the Year. The qualification was, is your movie titled American something?
Yeah.
You get the win.
Didn't list every year.
Yeah. It was also the winner of the MTV Movie Award for Best Male Performance for Bradley Cooper. Its screenplay was nominated 8 times, but it had no wins. And its sound design was nominated 10 times, and it won 4 of those. So a lot of technical wins. Yeah. I mean, a lot, quote. It won 4 technical awards. But yeah.
That's not bad. I'd be pretty happy. I'd be proud of that.
Yeah. Well, I'll get right into the interesting facts then. So obviously Bradley Cooper was a thick boy.
Oh yeah, he was.
To gain 40 plus pounds, Bradley Cooper ate around 6,000 calories a day, which calculates to eating a meal every 55 minutes.
This man, you got to get him big and thick and juicy. That American juicy sniper.
Using his own trainer, he worked out for 4 hours a day for several months. Cooper also took twice daily lessons with a vocal coach and spent many hours studying footage of Chris Kyle. When it came to pointing a rifle, Cooper trained with Navy SEAL sniper Kevin Lace, who served with Kyle and was a consultant on the movie. At his peak, Bradley Cooper could deadlift 425 pounds, twice his body weight, for 5 sets of 10 reps each. Cooper said that during the workout scene in his movie, he was deadlifting 425 pounds, even though the filmmaker suggested that he could use dummy weights for the scene. So
the only dummy there is how dummy thick he is.
IMDb had a lot of interesting facts, quote interesting, that were just about how Bradley Cooper went hard to become Chris Kyle, including things like wearing his shoes, listening to his workout playlists, and all that other stuff. I won't go into everything.
Oh, but just like weird actor stuff.
Yeah. Bradley Cooper went hard for this, and I guess it paid off because he got nominated for an award and he won the MTV Movie Award.
There you go. That's all you really need.
Bradley Cooper became only the 10th actor in history to land 3 consecutive Oscar nominations. He had previously been nominated for American Hustle and Silver Linings Playbook in the 2 years before this.
American Hustle, also winner of the American Movie Award for having America in your title.
But yeah, that's all my facts.
Interesting. I'm not surprised that Bradley Cooper went that hard because, oh my God, I can't stop thinking about this, the size of him. Seeing him in the movie beside other human beings feels unnatural.
Yeah.
He is the legend because this guy's fucking huge.
Yeah, the guy they cast as his brother looked like a fucking like toy next to him. Like he was so small. Bradley Cooper just like towered over him.
Yeah.
It kind of changed the emotion of that scene. Obviously the guy was like distraught and was ready to go home anyways. But like the fact that Bradley Cooper was just like a mass, just shadowing over him was like, it creates a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
And there was actually a fact that I didn't include in this, but Scott Eastwood, Clint Eastwood's son, auditioned for the role to play Chris Kyle's brother and didn't get it. His own dad.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack here because this is a very small role.
Yeah.
You need to do 2 things. You need to be present when Chris Kyle's getting cuckolded.
Yeah.
And you need to look like a little scrawny, puny, wimpy boy for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Imagine being so sad. You can't be a scrawny little wimpy, puny boy for 20 seconds when your dad's making the movie.
Maybe his dad was trying to do the right thing. He's like, nope, you're not scrawny. You're not wimpy enough.
Yeah.
You're a real Eastwood, hard American man.
You're a sheepdog, goddammit.
All right. Well, do you have any final thoughts on American Sniper?
This time, for real and for true, no, I do not.
Okay.
Do you?
No, I think we've definitely done our share of covering it. I want to thank you all for listening to Season 2, Episode 4 of Snubs and Dubs. As always, you can find us everywhere on social media at Snubs and Dubs. That's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Letterboxd, etc. We're also on Good Pods, so make sure to check us out there and join our official Discord. We would love to hear your guys' thoughts on American Sniper or on this episode, so please send us a tweet or a message with a question, a recommendation, or anything else. I'm also at Kyle Tobiasson on Twitter, and Jason is at Wendy_Mills. Of course, all of those links are going to be in the show notes. Make sure to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Share the show to everyone you know, and check back next week for another episode. Here's a sneak peek of the film we're going to talk about.
As you all know, my wife, Amy Elliott Dunn, disappeared 3 days ago. I had nothing to do with the disappearance of my wife. I have nothing to hide.
Sammy got friends we can talk to?
No, not really.
You don't know if she has friends, you don't know what she does all day, and you don't know your wife's blood type.
That's right. Next episode, we're talking about David Fincher's Gone Girl. So make sure to watch it before we go talk about it. Can't wait for you guys to hear it. Thanks for listening. That's a wrap.
Bye for now.
Bye.